Hello, pet parents, and welcome to another edition of Natural Pets TV. We have wonderful guests with us here today. We've got Heidi Nevela, Dr. Liz Bales, and Dr. Ken Tudor. I am really excited because this next topic is something that most of us don't understand, and it is one of the most important systems that we all have as beings on this planet. But in particular for cats, we need to understand what it's doing and how it's impacting their health. Dr. T, I want to ask you to kick us off with the digestive system.
And every cat owner, that's got to be one of the most important systems, because everyone's woken up with bare feet and stepped in cat vomit. So we need to really pay attention to the digestive system, because that's the system that is going to be the most recognizable with regards to pathology and health for the pet parent, and especially the cat parent. What is a digestive system? Well, if we just take its parts, it's the stomach, where the first stage of digestion, actually, I take it back, it's the mouth. But for us, it would be a more important organ, the mouth and the digestive system, because we chew our food. Cats don't. Cats crack, they have only shearing teeth, and so very little of the digestion process takes place in the mouth, other than some enzymes that get secreted on the food from the saliva. But the most important organ for them with regards to the start of digestion is the stomach. And this is where acids begin to break down the proteins, break down some of the break down the particles into smaller sizes. Then it's passed to the small intestines, where the food is turned more alkaline in a more favorable environment for absorption of the nutrients that were passed through the stomach. And then the colon, of course, is the collection area where water is taken out of the food and stool is produced for evacuation. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. But I'm sure Dr. Bales would like to talk about some of the more interesting things with regards to the digestive system.
So I actually take it a step even before the mouth. The approach to food is also very interesting. So for cats, they're predators. So when they are seeking a meal, they want to enact their predatory instincts and interact with that food. And so there's even a cephalic phase of digestion where they're thinking about it, sort of, if you could imagine for a person, when you walk into a room and sniff some popcorn, that you have that cephalic phase of digestion where you're preparing your body for food, and cats even have a step there. And it becomes really interesting in digestion when things go wrong. That's when we first start to know that there's a problem. So most commonly for cats, we'll see either one end or the other to have a problem. So we'll either see vomit or diarrhea and constipation. Those are probably the most common things that we see. So it's an important point here. I always go back to the indoor environment and how we keep our cats. Scooping the litter box twice a day is a really great thing to do, not just for a clean litter box for your cat, but also makes you aware of if there's changes, if that stool, you know, there's always 2 in there and today there's 4 and they're soft, or why is this one hard and on the carpet and not in the litter box? That's one of your best clues that something's going awry in the digestive system. So I think we should pick one or the other, diarrhea or constipation. What's your favorite?
Well, get calls for both of them. But I mean, so again, I'll give you a perspective from an herbalist, right? We usually get contacted when there's a diagnosis, and whether it's diarrhea or constipation or vomiting or those kind of reactions is what's really going on in the gut. A lot of times there's been a diagnosis of gastritis, inflammation or ulcerations or those kind of, and that's the practical response that we can, the remedial response that we can give. In that regard, there are very cat-friendly and cat-responsive products that we can offer that they're also very easy on the system, on all systems, but they go in and can soothe the mucous membranes, affect the soft tissue muscles. They have an interesting panel to affect ulcerations, like actual wounds in the gut. And that's really where I get involved in this. But we don't really get a lot of vomiting calls, but more for we've got some real problems going on, how do we heal those wounds, internal wounds? And we do have those kind of resources we can offer.
And I don't think we can forget that the GI system or the gastrointestinal system is affected by other systems as well,
Right.
as I'm
For
sure
sure.
you're aware of. Because if a cat comes in with a history of chronic vomiting, I'm already thinking about hyperthyroid. I'm already thinking about kidney disease. I'm already thinking about other parts of the systemic cat, if you will, that are going to affect the GI system. And then, of course, on top of that, we have a fastidious groomer that normally evacuates hairballs, from its esophagus and stomach. And is this normal? Is it abnormal? And how many times that hairballs have been mistaken as the root cause of an animal's digestive upset?
That is a fantastic point, because I think the cat ownership comes along with things that we think are a given.
Right.
So a certain amount of puke is just part of owning a cat. Hairballs are just part of owning a cat. And it isn't necessarily so. With hairballs in particular, they should pass through a healthy GI tract. They should not be vomited.
That's correct.
So although it's very common, it's not in fact normal. And there's, again, it's not a straight line from the hairball to the source of the hairball, but it is something that we should be thinking about. Right. Is it so simple as that cat is stressed and grooming more? Right. So they're actually accumulating more hair in their stomach than they would be if they weren't stressed? Or is it that the GI mucosa is affected, and so it's not sliding through the way it should? Hairballs are it's a very interesting source of conflict.
I agree.
What are some of the best ways that we can provide support and care for the digestive system?
It's a great question. I think a lot of it starts with again, I'm going to go back to this cephalic phase and stress. So before you even get to consuming something, that we want to have an environment that respects the predatory and the predator nature of the cat, so that we minimize the stress in the house, so that their GI tract can run in a healthy fashion. Then I think we talk about food. And this is a big topic with a lot of opinions and a lot of strong feelings. But I think we want to pick a food that suits the cat and our lifestyle in such a way that we're making sure that everyone's needs are being met. It's a big topic.
It is a big topic, and I'm the first to tell my clients that I try to get their cats off of dry food, even though it's convenient for us, even though that it helps us maintain that balance between a pet owner and a pet provider, by being able to go to work. That's not a natural diet for a cat, if you will. What is a natural diet? Well, I mean, anything from mice, rats, insects, butterflies, lizards, whatever they could catch. Does that make natural better? No, I'm not going to go say that an animal in the wild is healthier and live longer than one that is being fed a commercial food. But I think you bring up a point. How do we identify what is the best food for that cat, meets their particular taste needs, texture needs, and yet fits into our need to go to work and not be there?
And everyone agrees moisture is the critical issue. I think it's interesting that in the 9 years I've had my cats, I have not woken up to a single hairball or vomit. And my cats get heavily supplemented. And what's interesting, we were talking about the prey diet, in whether it's a kibble or raw or home cooked or dehydrated, whatever you're doing, or hybrid of some sort, we really can't replicate what they get in nature. Just for instance, the myelin sheath they get by consuming a whole animal isn't something we can replicate into food, but there are things you can do herbally to build that connective tissue and to build the right digestive environment for that are specific to cats. So there are things you can do, just basic things you can add to diet no matter what you're feeding to help the process. But I do think we have to acknowledge moisture as an issue. Perhaps go as far, now I'm not in your practice, but go so far as to say that if we're so focused on dry kibble, the secondary inflammation it can create in cats could be problematic. Convenience, it's definitely a convenience issue too, but those are some areas that we look at is diet. Are you doing filtered water? Are you unburdening them from the toxins that you might be adding to their diet through tap water?
A couple things that I find so interesting, and I actually have been in practice for 16 years and I'm learning every day, and this is something I've learned in the past 2 years, is that cats will drink more if their water source is in a different location than their food source, which I think a lot of people don't know and is a great tip. So if you feed in one location, if you can put, and in addition to different locations, different vessels. So some cats will prefer to drink from a cup on your bedstand and a saucer underneath the coffee table. Pick what works for you and your lifestyle. But moisture is very important, but there's a lot of different ways that you can increase the moisture in your cat's diet simply by changing the way that you provide water in the house.
And keep the toilet seat up.
It's a little scary for divers. But you know, when we talk a lot about the natural state of the cat, I also have a great interest in hunting. So it's probably not practical for most people, like you say, to release mice and lizards in their house. But when we talk about, I talk a lot about how you feed your cat is just as important as what you feed your cat. And when you understand the natural cycle of the cat in nature, and then you think about how when you remove that from them and they eat from a bowl, that it's a whole nother topic.
Right.
Well, certainly a lot to know and learn about with the digestive system. Really appreciate you all sharing your thoughts and wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Natural Pets TV. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on Natural Pets TV. We want to keep the conversation going in the comment section down below, or you can always reach out to us at petworldinsider.com. You can get more information from our great guests by reaching out to them as well. Heidi Nevela at naturapets.com, Dr. Liz Bale at nobowlcat.com, and Dr. Ken Tudor at welldogplace.com. Let's keep this going. Let us know what you want to be talking about, what you want to hear from us. Thanks again for joining us, and don't forget to hit that like button.